Hey friends, welcome to another episode of the Above Board podcast. Today I really wanted to talk about this thought that's been just quietly simmering on my mind. And it's that everybody wants the result, but very few people can stick to the consistency that it takes to get the results. So like we live in this world that's obsessed with motivation, right? Like I scroll through YouTube shorts and Instagram reels like everybody else. And for me, it's either like funny dog videos or these like constant, motivational hacks. And it's certainly a dopamine rush of quick wins, of shortcuts, of money motivation. But as I get older, I kind of realize more and more that almost everything meaningful in life is built through discipline. It's through hard work. And that creates what's known as earned dopamine, not this like cheap dopamine that we receive when something comes quick and easy to us. Actually, not only have I learned this firsthand, I've also studied this, that cheap dopamine creates this horrible cycle where after that dopamine spike and rush goes away, your levels of dopamine drop not only to your baseline, they actually drop below baseline. And then you're left feeling kind of unmotivated and it's harder to climb out of. You feel a little foggy, which just leads me to this idea that discipline creates momentum and momentum begets momentum. It's not about doing the thing perfectly. It's just the discipline to show up again. And so Tim Grover, I read this book recently called Relentless, and he talks a lot about this in his book, about showing up regardless of how you feel. For those of you that might not know, Tim Grover is the performance coach, or was the performance coach and fitness coach for athletes like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. I mean, some of the greats. But honestly, I think his book works because it applies far beyond sports. This can apply to your finances. This can apply to your marriage, to your business, to your health, whatever it is that you're trying to progress in. And by the way, discipline is rarely exciting in the moment. No one's clapping for you for sticking to your budget. No one's clapping for you for making that extra mortgage payment or waking up early to go have that workout or having that hard conversation in your business. Most discipline is happening quietly. And over time, discipline becomes momentum. Take financial discipline, for instance. It eventually turns your own money into passively working and growing for you. The objection that I get the most from folks is like just simply starting the budget or finding a way to save. It's so hard to figure these things out. But the problem is no matter where or when you start, I'm going to tell you that first $100,000 that you build in your net worth or in your investments, that's going to be your hardest. So imagine for a moment a scenario where you're putting $7,000 a year away in your investments. Okay, that's $583 per month. And let's assume, just for the sake of this time value money calculation, let's assume a 7% rate of return per year. You're going to reach your first $100,000 in 10.2 years. That is a really long time to be patient, right? And that $583 per month, like that you're saving, like that could go really far in helping ease the burden of your budget and having some fun in life. But here's the momentum factor. If you kept your head down and you kept doing this, do you know how long it takes to get to the next $100,000? So to go from 100 to 200K, it takes 5.9 years based on this same, money math calculation. And by the way, you can probably already guess what's going to happen along the way. Your income will grow. You'll find ways to save more than $583 per month, and you'll actually reach these milestones even faster. It feels hard to imagine, but I've been doing this profession for 18 years now, and I've seen firsthand folks doing the hard work to go without, and now their portfolios are well over $500,000 or more, and during good market years like we've had over the last year, their gains are equivalent, sometimes even more than their annual salary, which is amazing. But the problem is everybody wants that on day one, and they don't want to do the hard work. So what usually happens is they place big bets with small dollar amounts, and they wind up back at square one over and over again because those big bets are risky and they don't always work out. So instead of focusing on trying to hit base hits and move the runner over, like the block and tackle type of stuff, we all want a grand slam on our very first at bat. And it's just not how life really works. Tim Grover says that everybody wants to be a winner until it's time to do what winners actually do. And I really think that your financial discipline works the same way. It's like one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves, I deserve this, or I'll start, next quarter when I get my bonus. We're going to do a clean budget in January once my income increases and the holiday spending is over. And listen, like, by no means, and hear me say this, like, I'm not saying never to enjoy your life. I'm not saying not to take the vacation or buy the thing or celebrate the win. But there's a difference between intentional enjoyment and just emotional impulsiveness, because everybody, I think, every time we avoid discipline in the short run, we usually borrow stress from our future selves. And maybe that's the part that people don't talk about enough. Like discipline with your finances, it doesn't just create wealth. I think it creates peace. Like the person that's got an extra cushion in their checking and savings account, they're sleeping differently. The person that's not having to play catch up on their credit card bills and face these astronomically high APRs with their consumer debt, they sleep a little differently. And honestly, I think that's because discipline builds self-trust. You begin proving to yourself, I can rely on me. I can do hard things. I can delay my gratification a little bit longer. And that creates the confidence far more than any of these like short, money motivational videos ever will. And the crazy thing is, once the momentum starts to build, I think the discipline just gets a little bit easier. Not because the work changed, but your identity changed with it. You stop seeing yourself as someone who's trying to save money. You just become someone who saves. You stop seeing yourself as someone who's trying to get healthy. You just become someone who trains and works out and eats a little bit better. And you're no longer negotiating with yourself every day because the habit becomes part of your identity. And I really think that that's what Tim Grover kind of understands. Obviously, at the highest level, working with these like elite athletes, the greats weren't great because they felt motivated more than you or I do. They became great because they learned how to operate regardless of their emotion, and they use discipline. That's I think the win. It's not waiting for conditions to be perfect. It's certainly not trying to hit a grand slam on your first swing. It's just showing up for long enough for the momentum to start doing some of the working for you. And that compound effect, like that's what I'm talking about, whether it's in your money management, for example. I think for a lot of people that are on day one, they might look at someone who's, on year 10 of this or year 20 of this, and it looks like this magic formula, to the folks who maybe quit too early or who are starting at day one. But certainly it's really just about discipline. And sometimes I come on here on this podcast and I feel things like this just weighing on my heart to talk about certain things. And after reading Tim Grover's book, that's what this message is today. It's hopefully a message of encouragement about focusing on your discipline. And so my hope for you is that you find the courage to maybe do the hard thing, to start, just take a small step in the right direction and keep doing these hard things until they become the easy things, and let discipline turn into momentum for you. So one small ask as we're wrapping up today's show, if you would, please share this episode with someone who needs it. Don't run ads on this podcast. We rarely promote the show. It's very much a word of mouth, kind of grassroots effort type of thing that we work hard at producing so that we can stay connected and engaged with our community. I kind of think everyone these days thinks that like we take for granted a podcast. Like we think producing podcasts are easy. You just hit record and let AI take over. But that's not what we do here. That's not what we're about on this podcast. We are very intentional about having conversations that are meaningful to us. So send this to one friend today that needs this message. And I greatly thank you for doing that. Thank you for joining the Above Board podcast. And until next time, I hope you stay disciplined towards whatever it is that you are working towards. See ya.